Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon to everybody. Thank you for joining this really important topic today. It's a privilege to welcome you to this discussion on growing the Sharia ecosystem through technology. The world is rapidly evolving, and like we just heard from Adnan Chulwan, if you don't innovate, you're going to be written off very soon. There are so many new technologies like AI, blockchain, data analytics. And so there exist these tools which can help drive the Islamic industry, which will then be steadfast with Sharia principles. At the core of Islamic finance is the need for transparency, but it also requires efficiency and broader accessibility for it to flourish. Today, we'll talk about these fintech technologies and these innovations and how it can make Islamic finance more accessible, more transparent, and more efficient while staying true to the core values of Sharia principles. I have with me today two esteemed gentlemen. We've got Kevin Kanda. He's the CTO and CPO of Uzum. It's a digital services ecosystem in Uzbekistan. Uzum is a national champion in the country's fintech and e-commerce sectors. Previously, Kevin co-founded and served as the CTO at Kazan Express, an e-commerce platform renowned for its one-day delivery service. And congratulations, it was recently just acquired by Magnet, one of Russia's largest retailers. I've also got Parveen Jain, the CEO of Vision Bank, Category 1 Islamic financial institution, and the only Cat 1 Sharia bank in the ADGM. Parveen is a seasoned banker with more than 28 years of experience, during which he's held senior roles in banks like Standard Chartered, American Express, and IndusInd Bank across India, UAE, and Africa. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
So let's get into it. Traditionally, banking has been a sort of brick and mortar type business. You go into a bank, you get things done. But today, people don't want that anymore. We don't want to step into a branch anymore. We want everything to be seamless. Now, a lot of banking processes are still quite manual. It means there's higher operational costs and longer lead times for approvals. Moving into an Islamic bank, you've got the added layer of then having the Sharia compliance and the transparency that you need to add on top of that. How, in your view, and I'll ask the question to both of you, can technology bridge the gap between a traditional and a modern Sharia compliant banking system?
Sure. Okay, I'll take that. So I think you did introduce the bank pretty well. You should have entered digitally enabled. Yeah, so we are first category 1 Islamic digital bank. So you're absolutely right. I think we found a big gap as such from the digital point of view for the Islamic banking. And that's why we are the digital first. Everything is so. If you ask me right now, the biggest challenge the banking has seen in last from technology, every sector has been affected, but technology has actually impacted retail banking in a big manner, but not in corporate banking. Corporate banking is still into that phase that, and obviously because of the complexity of the shareholder structure, then there's a directorship, then there is a authorized signatory. There are many stakeholders, unlike a retail where there's a single person. In our case, we have digitized every part of it. So if a person is able to give me, and a corporate is able to give me all the documents in a single shot, I can open the account in 24 hours. So that's the part of digital first. Second is, I think, as Adnan said, that it has to evolve, and that's what we are trying to do. I think normally Islamic banking has been seen as a very complex complexity. Everything has to be backed by a contract, be it a muraba, be it a mudarba, be it a mushkara. What we have done first time, there is a straightaway API. So if I do a deposit, I book a deposit, or I do a financing, there is a straightaway API backed contract gets generated. So you don't have to sign any kind of a. And second, we being in ADGM, which is so regulatory wise very friendly for the tech part of it, we do the DocuSign. So there's no wet ink part of it. So that's another part of it, what we are doing right now. So these are the two large angles what we are trying to do. But obviously we can have more zakat can be from the fintech point of view. Zakat can be a big part of it. I leave it to him about the fintech part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kevin.
thank you. So I think that I would like also to mention the important part in terms of education, because you need to educate not only your customers but also your business customers in order to comply with Sharia laws. And also the technology and easy access to technology could be used for this purpose. So this is like the third part of the equation that you were talking about. And I think that in Uzbekistan, we have a good example of AI applications in order to understand the transactions of different businesses and different customers in order to also do the validation of Sharia compliance rules. So this is like only, this is partially what you said in the first part by bringing automation, but also you can use the AI technologies or like the basic ML models in order to do the validation of the law applications.
Yeah, yeah. I'll just add another thing. Is a smart contract, the blockchain based, right? There are a lot of contracts as such, and blockchain ensures that integrity of everything. So that smart contract can be very, very handy for Islamic banking also.
Yeah.
So that's what technology can help a big void.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
No, that's excellent. And I think following into my next question, Parveen, because a lot of what we've seen is traditionally Islamic banks have not been able to scale globally. Now, with the introduction of technology, how do you see that technology can overcome the barriers of being able to service customers who've previously not been served? As we know, a lot of the Muslim population is either underbanked or underserved, and maybe in rural areas. How do you see technology playing a role in scaling Islamic banks globally?
See, the way I said that, basically it is perceived as very operationally heavy and complex product. But if through technology, if you can do the moment I do a deposit placement or I give a finance, there is no use of manually getting a contract to be signed. There is an API based contract can be generated, which we have already integrated with our system. One is that. Second is, I think very, very important part is, you know, another part what we see is a very diverse across. So it's being perceived as um, so in UAE is a very different interpretation of Islamic law versus say Malaysia, and their regulatory angle is really helping the gap. We are bridging the gap. We have our own Sharia supervisory board, which is across from the scholars, and that's what we are trying to do from the technology part of it. Third was obviously there can be robo advisory also from the Islamic angle, and zakat already said. So these are the things which we can, as a digital, we are not going to do anything on the physical side of it, and we will be truly Islamic for sure.
Okay. Touching on the fintech and the innovation side of it, I mean, we know that the UAE has been quite a proud supporter of innovation. We've got the ADGM's regulatory sandbox, we've got the fintech hive in the DIFC. When you look at cross industry collaboration, how do you see the role between financial institutions and fintech companies playing a role in shaping that ecosystem?
Yeah. So I think that I would like to add this
Yeah, please.
here on this place. So first of all, maybe I should start with the governments, yes, because the governments mostly understand that they have a big part of the population, which is a Muslim population that is underserved because of the Sharia laws that they do not want to violate. And according to all of the market analysis, and especially in Uzbekistan, this is like a great part of the population. And well, where the population, if it receives the access to the finances, the following is an economic growth. And this is what every government wants to achieve. And also in our case of Uzbekistan, the government is a strong supporter with help of the central bank in order to help us build the ecosystem for Islamic finances that we want to see in order to operate in the most efficient way. And we are as a part, Zoom as a part of this whole collaboration are doing our own business and work in order to help the government establish the smoother experience for the digital finances customers.
I think I completely agree with him onto the financial institution as well. The asset-backed smart contracts also will go a long way in having the. So just to give an example, onto the smart contract blockchain based, which will remove the any kind of integrity part of it. That can really help to go us a long way in integrating with the fintech part of it.
Yeah, but you need to spend a lot of time in order to explain how the blockchain works and so
Exactly.
on, especially to the regulators.
Absolutely.
And in your experience, Parveen, how have you perceived that with the regulators in terms of getting that type of technology with asset-backed smart contracts?
Yeah. So I think it's the fact that the biggest problem in any kind of we are a corporate bank completely. So the biggest problem in corporate onboarding is your different stakeholders and different part of geography, right? So how do I get their wet ink signature? And with the DocuSign, we can now it is acceptable in ADGM code. So that shows you the inclination of the regulator, and I'm sure we are in touch with them about the blockchain. There is a proper, obviously, it has to be properly executed. There has to be proper governance in place, and I don't foresee any problem over there. And it's an accepted technology, at least for the trade finance world we saw, and contract is very prevalent in the Islamic banking, and this gives a lot of what do you call it? There's no foolproof kind of a problem issue on this.
In addition, maybe to Uzbekistan again and the DocuSign process, uh, 100 population of Uzbekistan is biometrified. So all of them have the Face ID in the government system. And we, as a financial institution, can use this service which our government provides to us in order to do the digital signatures and verifications of the customers.
Absolutely.
That's excellent. I'd like to move into e-commerce now, Kevin. I mean, we've seen the likes of China and Kenya who've really excelled at driving cashless economies with platforms like Alipay and M-Pesa. And it's a clear integration of financial services with social media and e-commerce platforms. In your view, how do finance and fintech companies connect with e-commerce? And what role do they play in improving the overall financial education in the market? And also, what do you think the key drivers of that e-commerce growth will come from?
Yeah. So first of all, let me once again mention that Uzum is an ecosystem where e-commerce and fintech are beginning combined. And can you imagine that 3 years ago, when we were doing the launching stage of our product, 50% of the population didn't even have a bank account at all. So that was in Uzbekistan like 3 years ago. And now what we are doing is we are helping the citizens and the population to do the leapfrog from the cash economy directly to digital payments and digital economy, excluding the traditional brick and mortar banking stage. And e-commerce is the main driver for this leapfrogging approach in our case, because e-commerce drives the customer's base. And we launched e-commerce in 2022, like 2 years ago. And we have seen the great potential of all this customer base to be integrated into fintech by introducing customers with buy now, pay later solutions. We also have an Uzum Nasiya inside our company as one of the product, which gives customer the Shari'ah compliant installment product, and it, in terms of combination with e-commerce, gives a great effect on the overall fintech evolvement of the country. And right now on our e-commerce platform Uzum Market, we have as more than 50% of all the payments based on this Uzum Nasiya product. And I think that like this is the main part that e-commerce plays in terms of the development of finances and digital payments, by bringing you the seamless experience without any kind of physical interaction with the seller or the product itself.
And are you finding that this is being taken up by not just the younger generation, but also the older generation?
Yes. So by investing into education, we were able to focus not only on the young generation, because the penetration of smartphones and the internet in Uzbekistan is very high, and our like main goal is to educate customers to use it. to use it not only for calls or messaging, but also for e-commerce purchases, for integration, the finances and so on.
Okay. We're almost out of time, so I think my last question would be is what does the future of technology-enabled Sharia compliance services look like in the next 3 to 5 years?
Okay, let me put it this way. I think if you look at it, sustainability has become a fad in last 3 4 years, right? But Islamic banking, by nature itself, is pretty sustainable. I'll tell you why. Sustainability has had largely three themes. One is the ethical, second is socially equitable, and third is environmental friendly. Ethical is obviously we do not finance any of the interest-based activities or any gambling or any liquor. So that's the ethical part of it. Socially, obviously, zakat. You mandatorily donate something to make the society equal. So these are the two large concepts. Third one, which is environmental, obviously there we are moving. So for example, now green sukuk has been issued of late. It is pretty much strongly advocated by most of the countries. So I think given the fact that sustainability is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity, that will drive the whole thing. And as somebody said in the starting, in 2025 itself, we are looking at 21% CAGR as against the conventional banking. So I think it's a very bright future. Plus, the adoption amongst other countries also very, very high. I'll tell you my example. Uh, I came from the conventional banking, so everybody has reservation. Everybody said the adoption is low for the Islamic banking, but if my product is good, my client can be conventional client also, right? So I have a full market for me, but for a conventional client bank, he can't offer his product will not be taken by a faith-based guy. If somebody has to do the Islamic banking, he will never go to conventional bank. Where a conventional bank, a conventional client is neutral. So for me, the market is much more in that sense. That's what I believe. Yeah.
Kevin?
And I think that the next step is also to focus on bringing the digital database of the Sharia complete businesses and operations in order to give it an access to the banks and to the customers to easily comply with Sharia complaint laws. So, because in current state, all of the banks, and I think you're not an exception, should do your own due diligence in order to understand which companies are Sharia complaint, which are not, which operations are, again, complaint or not, and so on and so on. I think that blockchain may be used here in order to establish such kind of a database, in order to do the validation of different businesses and to serve it globally to any kind of Islamic bank in the world which want to connect to it.
So while onboarding in our case, any client, my RM has to give that declaration that it's a Sharia compliant, and then I only start the process.
Yeah, but you need still to understand and to validate it in time that this particular company is still compliant.
Okay, understood.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I think just to wrap up, we can see that success in Islamic fintech ecosystems is going to be reliant on regulatory support, innovation, education in the market, and the ability to meet the needs of the population. I know it's a long way to go, but I think with, like you said, the way you've made strides in the last 2 years in Uzbekistan, just with e-commerce, I think it's exponentially growing. And hopefully next year, this time, we'll see a lot more in this space. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.